Hello everyone. I wanted to do a flip through of my first under paper book. I finished it a while back, but I don't think I made a video showing the whole book. So I wanted to do that. The under paper book comes from the signatures that I use while I am making something. These are my under papers, and I sew them into signatures so that I can sew them together into a book later on. I use these underneath projects so that I don't make a mess on my work surface. I can use paint up. If I poured out a little bit too much paint and I've got some leftover paint, I can put it on some of these pages. I clean off stamps and stencils, all kinds of stuff. And so I just have these signatures up here to grab whenever I want to, get some paint to the edges of whatever project I'm working on at the time. So I don't make a total mess of everything as I'm working. This one is Inky Gold. I was making paper dolls for my granddaughter, and I put the paper dolls shapes on this paper, and I used Inky Gold through some stencils and then cleaned the stencils off on this page. And I just love the way it turned out. So I don't want to do anything with that page, and I want to keep it forever because I love the way it looks. So I like working in the signatures, so it'll be very easy for me to grab when I'm all finished with the signature. I can grab the signatures and sew them together in my next under paper book. And I did make some new signatures because I'm almost done with the 4 that I had. This was a credit card. I was scraping paint onto a piece of paper, and I wanted to get to the edge of the paper, so I would put the edge of paper on this under paper and scrape all the way to the edge, and the credit card would go off, and this is what was left. I think it's cool. I think it's fun. I think it's really neat, and so I want to keep these. And so it'll be very easy for me to sew these into the next under paper book. This is some extra Inka Gold I had on a paintbrush, and I just cleaned the brush off. And so I will layer these up, and I'll put more stuff on them as I go. And that's how it starts. It just starts with a little bit of something, and I let it dry, and then the next time I will do something else. It'll be underneath another project, and it goes on because I do like to use a lot of layers. So I will layer these up quite a bit, and then when they are nice and juicy and full of color, I will sew those into a book like this one. So this one is 7 inches tall by 5 inches wide when it's closed. For the cover, I just used a piece of cardboard and another piece of drop paper, and I did stamp some acrylic gold circles and I used some of my handmade stamps with acrylic shimmer paint, metallic paints, to make it all shimmery and shiny. The papers that I used, it was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. What I was doing is I had taken some, let me just flip through the pages as I talk. I had taken some pages out of a glue book, and I didn't realize that the pages were so thin, but they were. And I was just using them underneath projects so I wouldn't make a mess. And I was noticing how cool they were looking, and I couldn't throw them away. I just kept saving them and kept saving them. And I enjoyed looking at them and decided that I would put them all together in a book. So I used them all up and started making signatures and noticed that the pages didn't really go together because I did them singly. Let me see if I can find one of those pages. Since I did the pages, a lot of the pages singly, the pages like this one did not go together. So I started stamping, and I put them into signatures, and then I started doing some stamping and adding some other colors on top just to blend the pages so that they look like they belong together. And that is why I work in signatures now. The underpapers that I use now are signatures, so that when I get ready to put them together in a book, they will look like they belong together and won't look like they were just single papers and they got slapped together with for no reason at all. So here's another one. The pages do not match. So I just don't like the way that looks. I like it when they look like they belong together a lot more. So that's why I work in signatures. But I really, really enjoyed my underpapers and just could not bear to part with them. I couldn't put them in the garbage. I just love looking at the color and the randomness. And I love seeing how different colors will end up together, things that I never really would plan to put together. And I can see what they look like when they are put together. A lot of these are Inca Gold. Some of them are twinkling H2Os, metallic paints, regular paint, acrylic paints, or ink pads through stencils or stamped images. I do clean off my stamps in here a lot of times. I clean off brushes. I like to clean off my stencils in here, and then the color is not wasted. And so all the pages just end up so different, and the pages are so thin that I stamped on one side and it showed up on the other side. So I'm trying not to use such thin papers like anymore. But I just couldn't bear to, look at the shimmer. I couldn't bear to let these go. They needed to be in a book. And I just wanted to do a flip through so you can see the pages and go as fast as you want to or as slow as you want to. This one is the bubble wrap with acrylic metallic paints, and my autofocus is off, so it wouldn't focus if I showed you the detail, but I just loved that page, so I had to make it in the center so I can see the whole page all together. I like looking at my stamps too. Sometimes I forget that I've got certain stamps. So here's half a fish. So it reminds me, oh, I haven't used that stamp in a while. I need to do that one. Here's some twinkling H2Os. I love the way that those shimmer. A lot of twinkling H2Os in here. That's metallic paints on a brayer, a patterned brayer. Just love it. And I enjoy looking at, when I just don't want to really do anything, I just want to look at color, I grab this book. This one, I put the page on the signature here so that I could stamp these circles to the edge of the paper. So you see a lot of half circles, and that's the reason that they're half circles, because the other side of the circle is on a painted paper somewhere. That's metallic shimmer. Here's an experiment with my cutout fish, and I wanted to see what he would look like in the bird cage, so I stamped over, and I did like the way it looked, so I had to leave it in there. More metallics. I think that's Inca Gold, actually. I do like the shimmer effect. So there are 9 signatures in here, 92 page spreads. It's a lot of paint. And I am starting other signatures to do the same thing with again at a later date. When I get the pages filled, I will make another one of these. So this is Under Paper book number 1. And I use that stamp a lot, so it's everywhere. So that is the whole book. The whole book, the whole flip through. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.